What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 10-7 MMA show. We are back with our Monday show, and this is a big Monday. It's Cinco de Mayo, number one. Number two,
I didn't know that.
yeah, it's a big Cinco. Yesterday was May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. Now, just a quick heads up. If you guys are wondering, my voice is a little jacked up. I'm pretty under the weather. I got started. I feel like I've been fighting it for weeks and keeping it at bay, but it finally got me over the weekend. So I'm struggling here a little bit. Honestly, been sleeping all day, but we have to do the show, and there's so much to talk about. Couldn't miss it, and lots of crazy stuff went down. Now, Justin, the first topic on our list today. By the way, Justin went fishing, and we're going to hear about his fishing trip, I'm sure, throughout the show. But there's something I've been dying to talk to Justin about, and the reason why we haven't chatted about it yet is because Justin was in the middle of nowhere, doing his thing. You had like satellite service or something crazy. So we haven't had a chance to talk about it, but we got to get right into topic number one. What's up, Tehran? Tehran's here early, nice, legend. We got to talk about this loss. And we talked about this on Friday. I think we both kind of were going for RDR by the end of the show. I switched my pick on Saturday. I kept watching more footage of Bo Nickal. I watched him do his weight cut. I don't even know. I think he was trolling about his weight cut. He claimed he had to cut like 37 pounds, but then people said he was just like messing with everybody. I don't know what's true or what's not. But either way, I watched some of his footage. And I'm like, man, this guy's just too much of a professional. He's done too much in combat sports. He's been at the highest of highs in terms of wrestling. Like, with that kind of mindset and that kind of inner strength, he's going to figure out a way to win. So I switched my pick. Lo and behold, we saw what happened, and he got rocked. Lots of people are saying fraud check, or saying that he was never that good, that he sucks, all the stuff, all the BS that you get from MMA fans sometimes, which I think is kind of wrong. But I wanted to turn it over to you because I made a video yesterday saying that I think it was a combination of factors as to why he lost. I think he got really tired. Maybe it was the weight cut, even if that was fictitious or not. I think he got winded. RDR had an amazing game plan, and RDR is an incredible fighter. I don't think this says too much about Bo Nickal negatively, but let me turn it over to you with the wrestling background, UFC fighter. What's your takeaways from this fight?
Man, listen, I thought you were going to turn it over to me because I don't know if you knew this, but my third fight in the UFC, I had the exact same thing happen to me. I was crumpled from my knee right to the liver. And I'm telling you what, guys, I don't care if you're me, Bo Nickal, Francis Ngannou, when that knee touches that liver, it's an off switch. You see, MGL4 Production shut him down. That's the only way you can describe it. Listen, if anybody's like, oh, he's a pussy, fraud check, like, no, you guys are silly. We're talking about one of the most accomplished collegiate wrestlers of all time. Like, you're too short-sighted. That is, it is MMA. It's not wrestling. With that being said, I'm not saying I called this fight the way exactly, but I was pretty confident that's how I was going to go. RDR was going to push forward. Bo Nickal doesn't want to take him down because of his submission game. He was going to be
keep going. I'll be right back. Keep going.
Yeah, no worries. So yeah, Bo Nickal didn't want to work his wrestling in there, and RDR, because he has such a great submission game. And man, RDR just got in there with his boxing, bang, bang, bang to the body, punch to the body, knees in the body. And let me tell you guys, it doesn't matter what's happening around you. When I fought Gabriel Benitez, I felt like the momentum was all in my favor. I'm going forward. I'm fucking good. It's a great. I throw that big loopy. He set it up so perfect. Jab cross, jab cross. And next time he throws a jab cross, I'm throwing overhand. Jab, overhand, and then the knee came, boom, crumpled me. I looked just like Bo Nickal. And when he went down, man, I had so much sympathy for him, because going down like that, like when you get knocked out, like when I got knocked out when you were there in Vegas, like you don't remember anything. You know what I mean? You're fucking knocked out, and you ask, I probably asked you 100 times, well, what happened? What happened? But when you get hit with a body shot like that, not only do you remember everything, you feel everything, you hear the crowd, and it's just, you're just done. And I mean, anybody that says that Bo Nickal is a pussy or a fraud, or they've obviously never been in a boxing gym and they've never felt a body shot. I mean, Bo Nickal has accomplished more than 90% of the athletes, including UFC fighters, just in collegiate wrestling alone. His accolades are beyond this. But again, this is MMA, man. And, anybody that's, you when you go from the top of one sport and you're like, you know what, I want to try to go to another sport and be the top of the top. Like, it doesn't just, it's not just a clear handoff. Like people seem to think it should be. It's not. There's a learning curve. And when we talk about his striking, I thought his striking it's very elementary. Like, I feel like if me and Bo Nickal box, like, I think that I'm going to fucking beat him. Like, I don't think he's that technical. And with MMA gloves on, he doesn't obviously want to get hit because obviously of the small gloves, and, and then not being able to use his wrestling because RDR has such great submissions, man. It's just, it was a perfect storm. It was the perfect opponent to beat Bo Nickal.
I just want, you mentioned how people are beating up on him online. I just wanted to showcase this, and then I want to jump back into the conversation because I think it is a really, really interesting thing that's happening right now. Everybody's jumping on him. So first, we're going to look at the fan sentiment. Obviously, you can't glean too much from this because this is just people being absolutely negative. Look, Buns Nickal, you'll never be look at this. You'll never be a champion. I promise you. Like, imagine this guy just got knocked out, crumpled. He's devastated, I imagine, and he lost his undefeated record. And look at what people are putting. And you can beat Hamza. Okay, now some of the hate. The reason why some of the hate he's getting like this, where he's like, oh, and you thought you could beat Hamza, is because in interviews he would almost like laugh at Hamzat's wrestling and he would call it trash. So I think this is why people feel that it's appropriate to be this harsh. But let's take that out of it. Okay, look, fraudulent tough guy. Judge saved you from death. Remember that. That's ridiculous. That he was obviously, like you said, it was a liver shot. His body shut down. I don't think some people are saying it was an early stoppage. That's crazy. The male version of Ronda Rousey. I mean, it just goes on and on. Fraud check. I mean, dude, I'm just reading like a handful. This is all at the very top. Not even anything. I didn't even choose any to go to. So this is what he's dealing with online. Now, if you also look at what Luke Thomas said, you respond to a video from Luke Thomas earlier. Man, I think like Luke Thomas was so critical of him, and that's one of the things that I hope to never be so critical when I've never even stepped into the cage. I think it's kind of a ludicrous thing. So one of the things that he said, he says like, man, he's just not developing fast enough at all. He's way behind the curve. And I wanted to pose this to you because I don't know if it's fair to say that. I think this is his fourth fight in the UFC, his 8th MMA fight total. We look at some of the guys in Fusion, they've had more fights by far than Bo Nickal in his entire career. And he went against RDR, who obviously is very good and has done very well in other organizations, may prove to be a top 5 middleweight in the very near term future. So what do you have to say about all these claims, especially Luke Thomas saying that, yo, he's just not developing fast enough, and yeah.
How old is he? How old is he?
Bo Nickal's 29. He's only 29.
I mean, dude, he has 3 years, man. He has 3 years to get together. I do see why Luke Thomas is talking about like how he's not developing fast, because his striking is just terrible. Like, it's at least in his fight before last, when it was one of the most boring decisions. I think it would be more impressive if he goes in against that grappler that has that really good grappling base and displays why wrestling is more dominant than grappling and ground and pound these guys out. He's trying to stand and strike. Why are we doing this? Remember, he's coming to the UFC as a world-class wrestler, not a world-class boxer, not a world-class kickboxer, not a world-class taekwondo guy. He's a world-class wrestler. And this idea that, oh, he's wrestling a grappler, a high-level grappler. Oh, well, let me just take away my best option of everything, that what got me here, what got me all my accolades. I'm just not going to do that, and I'm going to go do elementary striking. It's just, and I feel for him, because I feel I did the same thing, man. And I'm not comparing myself to Bo Nickal. Obviously, I was just a NCAA Division III wrestler. Like, I wasn't anything special. But when I got into fighting, like, Darren Cruikshank was my coach and, my friend, and he's telling me like, dude, you need to knock people out. If you just take people down and hold them, you're never needed at the UFC. You're never gonna get paid. So I always had this idea in my head that I had to be knocked down, drag them out, fight. So I got into a boxing gym, and I went to this really like hood boxing gym, and we would just fight like every day, and I would get my ass whipped so bad up and down the mat. And then I fell in love with it so much, because when you knock somebody out, it's such a great feeling. And like, it's like, oh my gosh, like it's like hitting a home run in baseball. It's the exact same euphoric feeling. You hit I played baseball. I was a home run hitter, believe it or not, in baseball. You hit that sweet spot in the bat, and anybody watching can say the same shit. You hit that sweet spot, it goes tink, and you just know in your head, boom, that motherfucker is gone. The same thing with knocking somebody out. You throw that hook, bah, it doesn't even feel like it's hard impact. It just goes through their skull, and you just watch their eyes roll back in their head, and it's like, fuck, let's go. So, I mean, I understand why he's trying, and he wants to be more exciting. He doesn't just want to be a boring wrestler. But unfortunately, you're one of the best wrestlers in the world, and you're not wrestling. So it's shame on you and shame on your coaches.
Do you think he's taking this approach because he's maybe insecure about his jiu-jitsu and grappling when it comes to those types of grappling exchanges that it seemed he lost to RDR?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, of course, in the same thing in his fight before that. Dude, get down there and show these guys that you're not just a wrestler. You're trying to show them that you're a striker, and you look fucking stupid. Like, get down there and fucking take these guys down. And you know who I'd like Bo Nickal to get with, man? I wish I had some more pull. Man, if Bo Nickal got with Jake Shields and learned Jake Shields' system in 1 year, I couldn't see anybody handling him just because of his raw wrestling strength and power and the way when I wrestle with Jake, I fuck him up. I'll take him down however I want to. But every time I take him down, I'm right into a submission. He's throwing up a triangle. He's throwing up a guillotine. He's threatening. He's sweeping. It's just not, it's like it'd be like you and me wrestling. Like that's the level difference. Like my goal of wrestling with Jake, like nobody else in the gym is, I don't want to get submitted. Like it used to be, I wanted to get less than 3 submissions. Like I didn't want him to stun me more than 3 times. And then it was 2, and then it's 1. And now I can almost go a whole round and not get submitted. But just to talk about the strength of this guy. Now you take Bo Nickal, you put his frame and his form and his strength into Jake's technique, bro. Like he'd be the best grappler in the UFC.
Now, some people are also saying, and again, I don't know what the truth is here because Bo Nickal claimed he cut 37 pounds. Some people are saying he's trolling. I don't know what's true. You guys let me know. Tehran probably knows the answer to this. So if you could let me know, I'd appreciate it because I got fooled, I guess. But regardless, some people are saying that Bo Nickal should try and move down to welterweight. Is this something that you believe as well, or is this nonsense?
I mean, if he's cutting 30 pounds to get to middleweight, how do you going to make welterweight, man? Like, and there are ways to troll. Sometimes fighters do troll, and I'm guilty of it. I've done it before. When I fought for the World Series of Fighting, which is now the PFL, it was called the World Series, and they changed the name to the PFL. Before you had to do weight checks with Ray Seppo the day before. So on my way to the venue, I chugged as much water as I could. I'm walking up the stairs. I'm chugging water. I mean, until I was so bloated, and I stepped on the scale because I wanted him to freak out. And I weighed like 185 pounds or something the night before. And he's like, bro, what the fuck? And like Ray Seppo was a big, I'm like, watch this. And I made weight the next day. Kind of, and that wasn't easy, but it wasn't that hard. And he always tells you, oh, this guy, I watched him lose 35 pounds overnight, but it was prompted to look tougher than what it was.
Got it. And he may have done that. So yeah, and I don't know the truth about that, but that's what some people are saying. I don't know. It's such a crazy thing. I think people are totally blowing it out of proportion. 1, because he had so much hype. 2, because of his trash talk. It was pretty aggressive, especially the stuff that he was saying about Khabib as well as DDP. I think, that he was jumping a bit forward. But again, that's part of the reason why he got so much hype is because of all those crazy aggressive things he was saying about Khamzat, even though I think nobody really believed it, but he got a lot of attention as a result. So what can we really say? But I think now the question is, where does he go from here, and will he bounce back? Now, I firmly am in the corner. That's why I said in the video yesterday, I think of course he's going to bounce back. This is now going to be a question of mindset, mental fortitude, and if anybody has mental fortitude, it's going to be this guy. It's going to be Bo Nickal. I hope they give him, and I think people are going to be really interested in his next fight. So I hope they give him a matchup that is going to be slightly favorable to him. I want to see him come back. I want to see him win. And the last thing you have mentioned a couple times about the elementary striking. This is what Coach Pete says, my coach that you met, right, in LA. He has told me this. I want to get your opinion that striking versus wrestling is much easier to get skilled at. You can do it in a much shorter period of time. Do you agree? And if so, do you believe that there is some substantial hope for Bo Nickal to rapidly improve his striking in the next year?
I do agree. I feel that I picked up boxing very quick. I think within 1 year, I was a very good boxer compared to from my first year wrestling to my second year wrestling compared to my first year of boxing to my second year of boxing. Because it's just a lot of rinse and repeat, man. But with that being said, you're getting it all wrong. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be confrontational, but you're getting it all wrong. It's not, can he catch his striking up It's how can he use his striking to use his wrestling. It's not about, stop talking about him becoming a striker. He's not a striker. He is a wrestler. He needs to develop his striking, not to knock people out, but to feint, bang, bang, shoot, boom, like a George St. Pierre style, like a Chael Sonnen style. Like a Jake Shields style. Get on top of guys, smother guys, make them feel your strength and weight. Not strike with these idiots. And that's his problem. Right now, he thinks that he has to become a striker. He's light years behind. He's not catching in the striking department. I tell you what, Jake Shields right now, again, I talk about Jake just because he's a friend of mine. He's my coach, and I just have so much respect for him. Like, if me and Jake put on the gloves, I'm going to fuck him up in boxing. But if we put on MMA gloves and we do an MMA fight and he gets his hands on me, bro, he'll sub me in 3 minutes. I mean, if he doesn't get knocked out walking in, and that's what Bo needs to do. He needs to fucking use it. He needs to get his hands up. I would like to see Bo Nickal take like a Mike Tyson approach. I know he's a little longer, but still like a Mike Tyson approach with the head moving fast, whoa, 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 bang, bang, rip and shoot. This whole striking with these guys because they're good grapplers. I mean, it's just shameful. And, and I'll tell you this, here's another thing about wrestling compared to grappling. The best grappler in the world, if you take the number one wrestler in the world, we'll say, what's his name? He's my favorite wrestler, a black dude. He has a double leg. Jordan Burroughs. He's the best wrestler in history in the world, in my opinion. If you take him and you put him in the highest level grappling tournament in the world, is he going to win it? Probably not. But he'll compete, and I bet he'll place. Now, if you take that champion in that grappling tournament and you put him in the NCAA wrestling tournament, they are going to get smoked. They are going to get thrown around. It's wrestling translates to grappling. Grappling doesn't translate to wrestling. So if Bo can get in there and get on top and just keep things tight and stay out of submissions and get a submission, focus on his boxing to his wrestling to his submission defense and ground and pound, and he will be a champion. If he continues this route of I want to strike and like he's gonna be out of the UFC really quick.
But you do think he's going to figure out a way with his mindset, with all the things he's accomplished. He's going to, whatever that path may be, let's say it's exactly what he follows this exact same path that you're suggesting. You think he'll figure it out and he'll make it work and he'll come back.
I mean, it's his coaches. It's his coaches, like and this is a big thing in MMA. It's guys, a lot of times, especially wrestlers or boxers, they come in and they can box and they can wrestle, but they can't MMA. You understand? They can box. If they're doing a boxing match, they can fucking box. They can grapple and wrestle really well. But that transition, the MMA transition, is where it's Robert Falls used to always say it. It's the music between the notes. That transition period. Like when you look at a note, it doesn't make a sound. It's when you press that note, going to the next note, what draws the sound. Same thing with MMA. You have your striking as your note, and then you have your wrestling, which is your next note. But then the music that plays in between that note is MMA. And that's what he needs to focus on. And that's what he needs to, man, it's using his striking to use his best weapon. It's think of it like I have a pistol in my front pocket and I have a bazooka over my shoulder. All right. I have one bullet in the pistol. Boom. I can draw that. I can stop somebody, drop this, and then pull out my bazooka to finish him. That's the same thing. His boxing should be the little pistol in front to get him to hesitate. And then the big bazooka is his wrestling because, again, he's one of the best wrestlers in the world, and he's not fucking using it. Like, what an idiot. Like, what? The best grappler in the world is going to be trying to pull guard. If you go with the best grappler in the world, he's in an MMA fight, he doesn't have good striking, he's going to be trying to jump guard. Bo's not even trying to win to wrestle. And his coaches need to see this and address it, or he's going to be out of the UFC really quick.
All right, last thing on Bo Nickal. Then I really want to talk about RDR because, man, this guy's awesome. He's got a great personality. He had an amazing fight. I think a lot of people are really hyped about RDR. But last thing about Bo, not to make too many excuses, but I rewatched the fight last night, and I noticed that once Bo got on bottom position in round one, he really struggled. And not only that, he got up and he looked so winded at the end of round one. So whether or not it was a hard weight cut or an easy weight cut, it looked like his cardio was massively affected in round one. And round two, I think that continued. I think that's why he had some difficulty, even when in those few couple strikes, when he opened up and tried to throw some strikes, it looked like it was the last straw, like his last little bit of energy. And then he got rocked with those knees and then subsequently finished. Do you think there may have been some fluke cardio issue that could explain why Bo Nickal fought the way he fought? Maybe he didn't want to go for takedowns because he was too tired.
Yeah, that is the thing as well. If you don't have a good training camp or a hard weight cut, I have been like that before. It's like, man, I can't shoot in this fight. I will gas out. And that definitely, if you had a hard weight cut, that's definitely in the realm of possibility.
That's kind of my theory on this. Not saying the better man didn't win, and but that's just what I noticed, or that's what I felt when I rewatched the fight. But enough about Bo Nickal. I hope to see him back. That's all I'll say on that. And I hope they give him a nice matchup that makes sense, and we can see him start putting everything together and shows true talents. But now let's talk about RDR, legend. What a great fight. What a great game plan. I mean, he was absolutely dominant. He said he did exactly what he said. He went into those grappling exchanges, and then he started mixing in that Dutch kickboxing, a crazy amount of knees. Not only knees, just everything was to the body. It's like he wasn't even trying to go for headshots. He wasn't even headhunting. It was just body, 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 body. And those paid dividends until he finally dropped him with that last crazy knee, as you mentioned, to the liver, to that off button. And what's more interesting to talk about RDR with you in particular is he called out your boy. He called out Sean Strickland for his next fight. So we'll see where RDR gets ranked after this win. He was 13. Maybe he'll crack the top 10. But what do you think about RDR first? We can talk about him facing Sean Strickland afterwards. But what do you think about RDR as a fighter?
I mean, he went in there and, at the age of 34 years old with a very impressive record, he's undefeated in the UFC right now. My prediction, I thought he was going to get it done. I thought that he was going to be just a little too much. I thought the fight went kind of how I thought it would. Bo be a little hesitant on taking shots because he's afraid of the submission game. But I like your theory too, that maybe he was afraid to take shots because he didn't want to gas out. That's, again, definitely possible. But regardless, I thought that, he would kind of just walk him down, not really caring, because he's not worried about getting knocked out by Bo. He's not worried about getting taken down. So Bo's going to strain. He's not worried about his power. So that gets him in that range to where he can just walk him down, punch him in the body, because when you're going for body shots, obviously it leaves you very susceptible to getting your face cleaned off. But he wasn't worried about that at any time. Like when he threw those body shots, his hands were relatively low. He's like, bing, bing, and the knee. It was just like, send it, man. And it just really showed that RDR had no respect for Bo Nickal as a fighter.
For RDR next, do you think Sean Strickland was a bit too high of a call out, given that he's, I think, like number one in the division, or would you like to see that matchup next?
I mean, that's a bold call out, and being 34 years old, it's a fresh face in the division. It's a new matchup. Let's fucking see it, man. Like, what, like he went in there and like, guys are talking fraud check. Oh, he sucked. Dude, he's a world-class athlete and he's a world-class wrestler. And, that's the thing, like, MMA compared to wrestling is when you lose a fight, like, you have to dwell on it. You get, like, I don't know, 6 months to dwell on it. And then you have another fight camp. And you have, in wrestling, you lose, you got fucking 10 minutes to get that loss out of your head and get to your next match, because you're going to have 5, 6, 7, 8 matches in a day. And if you lose early in that day, you're wrestling all day. That's a word. If you, man, in college, like, you go out there and you wrestle at 9 a.m., and then your next match will be at like 11, and then it'll be at 1, and then it'll be at 3, and then it'll be at 6. It's like almost every 2 to 3 hours you have another match. And you don't, and that's the thing, I think wrestlers have a huge ability over other other athletes, is we experience hardship and we have to persevere in certain situations more than most athletes. And I think Bo's he's gonna come back really, really strong with this. I think he's gonna be very confident in the next fight as well.
For sure. Oh, and what about RDR? Who do you think RDR should fight next?
I don't know, man. Sean Strickland, if he wants to go fight, if they give him the Sean Strickland fight, I think that's a great, because again, going back to his age, he's 34. I think it'd be a fresh face in the division, and it'd be an interesting matchup for sure. And, man, I'd like to see what his game plan would be, because hitting Sean in the body like that is definitely a thing, because how Sean stands straight up. But will they sit in the pocket and exchange like that? I don't know, man. Would Sean keep him away with the teep kick? Man. I think it's a fun matchup.
I think it'd be a fun matchup too. RDR's a legend. I don't know if Sean will take a fight that far below him in the rankings, but we shall see. Either way, there's a lot of excitement in the middleweight division with RDR coming up in the mix. But let's move on to the bantamweight division as Cory Sandhagen rocks out with an incredible victory over Davison Figueiredo. I've been listening to so many Cory Sandhagen interviews last week, and he is a guy that you got to listen to. He's very existential and he's a very deep thinker. I love the way that he views the fight game as just almost like an existential challenge to himself, regardless of titles, regardless of money, of clout, of any of that stuff. He just wants to take on the biggest challenges constantly to push his soul and push his spirit to the limits. I think that's so cool. But he went out there very confident, pretty much dominated Deiveson Figueiredo. There were points where Deiveson, it looked like Cory's knee was in a compromised position multiple times, but Cory stayed calm. He said he was never in any danger. And then he did some move. He called it a 50-50 position where he rolled up and he said Deiveson Figueiredo, he popped Deiveson Figueiredo's knee. And Michael Bisping said that was really unfortunate that happened, but you got the victory regardless. He's like, no, that wasn't unfortunate. He's like, don't play 50-50 with me if you don't know how to play the game. If I sit up, you got to back down. And he didn't back down. He popped his knee. That's how it goes. And I thought that was a really fair response, especially given that Deiveson Figueiredo was trying to inflict knee damage on Cory for like such a long stretch of time. Anyways, in brutal fashion, he goes out there and gets the victory very dominantly. What's your takeaway on Cory Sandhagen's performance?
I mean, I really thought he was going to fuck him up to begin with, and especially from the 50-50 position. Now, 50-50, it's very simple, guys. You guys, if you're in 50-50 with somebody, if you don't understand what the equation is, it's you have the same opportunity I have. All right, we're in the same exact position. You can go for a leg lock, I can go for a leg lock. The difference between Deiveson Figueiredo and Cory Sandhagen is Cory Sandhagen trains with Ryan Hall. Ryan Hall is essentially the inventor of the 50-50 position. You can't beat Cory Sandhagen at 50-50. There's nobody in the world that can beat Cory Sandhagen at 50-50. He said it. He said it in past interviews. He said it in this interview. I am the best 50-50 player in the world. And Deiveson Figueiredo fuck around and found out. You play stupid prizes or you play stupid games, you get stupid prizes. Why are you in 50-50 with Cory Sandhagen? Like, shame on his coaches. Like, if his coaches don't address that, like, his coach is Ryan Hall. You understand? Ryan Hall is one of the best leg lockers in the world. He submitted BJ Penn with a rolling heel hook or some rolling attack that would never work, like, ever, and it did against BJ Penn. Like, dude, it's Cory Sandhagen is just he's an incredible striker. He has knockout power in his hands. He has knockout power in his feet. He has knockout power in his knees. And his submission game is so overrated. And if you get 50-50 with him, you better tap quick because he's blowing your shit out. And you deserve to get blown out for being in that position.
It's so crazy. And his speech afterwards on the mic was so great. I don't have it queued up, but he's like, hey, man, I've been trying really hard. He said something like, guys, I've been doing this for a long time. Just give me that shot. I think it's my time. I just want to be able to prove myself. I don't know. It was just so perfect. It was so heartfelt, asking to be next in line for the winner of, Merab versus O'Malley. He also said that he wanted to get the win against Deiveson Figueiredo in a more emphatic way than Petr Yan to ensure that he gets the next title shot. I think he did just that. Justin, what do you think? I don't know if you can hear me right. Yeah, Justin, what do you think? Do you want to see Cory slide in there next to fight the winner of Merab versus O'Malley?
Hey, he just beat the UFC champ. It's a fresh face in the division. Send it.
Yes, I think that would be so great. I think it would be really cool if he fought O'Malley, but I think it'd be fun for him to fight Merab as well. And I think Cory's right now at the peak of his game. He's feeling like he's in his prime. He's feeling like everything's coming together. Very exciting fighter. If you guys haven't watched a lot of his interviews, he's on Ariel's show today. I was watching, some of that show this morning, and he's just a really, really interesting guy. So if you're not familiar with him, I do recommend to check that out. Okay. Let's move it along because, there's one other fight. I'm going to jump ahead to topic 4. The one other fight I want to talk about from this card was Mason Jones versus Jeremy Stephens. And Mason Jones, man, that guy is crazy kickboxing, crazy grappling. He was just Jeremy Stephens is awesome, but I think Mason Jones was just all around better. It's just the truth. I think he wrecked him with the strikes, and then in that last round, some people might say he played a little bit safe, but he played it smart. He took advantage of the grappling, of sort of that gap in terms of grappling skills and grappling abilities, dominated, got the victory. What do you think of Mason Jones, and what do you see next for him?
I mean, Jeremy Stephens is an old dog, man. He's not as tough as he once was, and he's still awesome. Obviously, he's over there knocking people out in bare knuckle. He's been winning fights as of lately. But Mason Jones coming onto the scene, never heard of this kid, never seen this kid before, to go and do what he did to Jeremy Stevens from the striking department, from the pace department, from the, man, he looked like a seasoned vet in there, and for anybody to do what he did to Jeremy Stevens, that's just incredible.
Oh, by the way, we've got a comment from Levi Anderson. He said, didn't RDR beat Bone Grappling Exchanges? Yeah, I would say so. I definitely would say so. Are you asking that because we insinuated otherwise, you feel? Because, yeah, no, I definitely think so. Right, Justin? You agree, yeah?
Yeah, I think he beat him in everything in the fight.
Yeah. It was a very, very, very dominant victory. Mason Jones, by the way, another fun fact about Mason Jones, he actually temporarily got cut from the organization, and then this was his first fight back in the UFC. And the reason why that's interesting is Josh Thompson, his recommendation for Bo Nickal, I don't know if I agree with this, his recommendation for Bo Nickal was for him to take a leave of absence from the UFC, fighting a regional promotion for a fight or two, and then come back to the UFC. I don't know about all that, but just kind of a fun fact there. All right, we got to move on because we have a big UFC card this weekend. The main event, Belal Muhammad versus Della Maddalena, JDM. We got basically what people are saying, that amazing boxing pedigree that JDM presents, and Belal, obviously, who's shown to be an absolute grinder, an absolute dog, just winning for his last, I don't know, he hasn't lost in like 12 fights, 13 fights, something, whatever it is, something crazy like that. Justin, let me turn it over to you first for your first thoughts on this matchup. I know we talked about it a couple times, but what are you thinking for this weekend?
Can't go against Belal, man. As much as he's a snooze fest, and I probably won't watch the fight, he knows how to control the pace of fights. JDM is going to have to fight at his pace, which is going to be a very, very high pace, heavily wrestling based, and just an exhausting pace. I mean, I just can't go against Belal. I think he's the best at making fights boring and slow, and he's the best in the world at it. And I'm not talking shit about it, because it is a skill to be able to slow down the pace of a fight to make you look the best to your ability. You know what I mean? It's just, but it's the other thing. It's not just, it's a constant high pace. It feels like he almost picks up the pace as the fight goes on. I think as he gets more comfortable, feels it out and stuff. And I mean, it's just, we know what's going to happen. He's probably going to take him down and lay on him for 5 rounds, and then everyone's going to boo. And we're going to be talking about it next week, about how everyone hates Belal.
We've got, I think, a new watcher today. Cayman Ryder says JDM Belal will have competitive moments for JDM, but how can you ignore the mix-up of wrestling? Yeah, I think you're exactly right. We also have Lord of the Pies. I don't recognize this name. He just says, cheers, what's up? And Cayman Ryder also said something about Bo Nickal earlier. Let's highlight that. So he says, Nickal losing in Iowa is ironic. Nickal has a history of condescending remarks to Iowa wrestling team, only to lose to a Dutch dude, which Paya, Iowa, I don't know what that, has a Dutch heritage in Iowa for his first loss. Okay, I didn't know all of that. That's crazy. But yeah, I guess that is how it goes, and maybe there is some irony there. Okay. Well, we got a great matchup this weekend in this fight. I'm very curious to see how it unfolds, because I think it's going to have major implications for even the lightweight division. Speaking of which, we still don't have an announcement for UFC 317, which is less than 8 weeks away. What is happening? I made a video last week saying maybe, just maybe, they are not telling us because they're working tirelessly to get John Jones versus Tom Aspinall for UFC 317. That's the only thing I can think of as to why they still haven't announced it. Because if they announce that, all would be forgiven. Everything will be cool. And if they don't, it's going to be fine. It's going to be kind of what we expected. But that's what I'm praying for, as low probability that is. Let's see what happens. Okay. And Justin, I want to move on here. We're going to jump around a little bit today. We're going to move on to topic number 7. This is something that Justin said he wanted to talk about. And I just didn't mention as an issue before, because Justin is teammates with Francis Ngannou at Extreme Couture. But Justin thought he wanted to talk about it, so we are doing that. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, Francis Ngannou, I believe it was in Cameroon, but I can't remember exactly, somewhere in Africa. Yeah, he was riding a scooter or a motorcycle through the streets, and apparently I believe he got into the collision. I'm not 100% sure on that.
I think I thought I read, and again, I was going to call Eric and ask him, but I'm sure everyone's blowing him up, that he was in the car and the woman was on a bike.
Okay. He was okay. Well, here, when I just look at it, this is what the AI overview said. He was reportedly riding a motorcycle that struck a 17-year-old girl. And but I've heard different reports. This is what the Google AI thing just spit back. But according to that, he hit a girl while he was on a motorcycle. She had really bad injuries. He went to the hospital with the family. He paid for all her medical bills. He tried to save her. And unfortunately, it wasn't enough. And the girl passed away several days ago or a week ago or something like that. So anyways, Justin, I'll turn it over to you. And yeah, the floor is yours.
Man, it's just devastating news, man. Francis Ngannou. You never hear a guy besides Dana White, and Dana White even really say a bad word about this guy, man. And the trials and tribulations that he's had to continue to face. You guys know he lost his son last year. Now he has to go through with this. Man, I'm just so drawn back. And now imagine, you're coming up from the slums. Like, I mean, he's in Africa in the coal mines and shit like that. He makes something of himself. He becomes the baddest man on the planet. And then he has to persevere through all these things. And it's not like, dude, this guy's a good guy, a good human being. He doesn't cheat people. He comes from very humble beginnings, as you guys know. And just to see these trials and tribulations that he's had to go through in these past couple of years, parting ways with the UFC, even, like, that's big, man. Like, that's huge. You're the best fighter in the world and the biggest organization in the world and the most, popular, and you lose that. And then, his family, he loses his son, now this, and it's just goes to show you guys, man, you gotta hug your family. And, it's money doesn't create happiness per se. Cause I'll tell you what, Francis is not happy right now, and he's probably lower than he may ever have been. And he has probably an unlimited amount of money, man. And just when you hear stories like this of these good guys that have made something out of nothing, and then just to see these things they have to go through and persevere through, and it's like, fuck, man, you just don't know what other people are going through, man. And I'm fucking torn up about it, man. I'm not even close with Francis. I'm not sitting here trying to tell you, oh, he's my boy, we hang out and shit. No, our lockers are next to each other, and we're casual at best. We've never hung out or anything, but man, everybody in that gym that I see there putting in their blood, sweat, and tears, I want the best for. Even if I don't necessarily like you, it's like, dude, I see you in here working. Like, I still want you to achieve your goals. And man, and again, coming from the coal mines or whatever he was in Africa, and becoming you can't get any higher than he was. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing higher. And for a fact, he'd throw all that away and go back to the coal mine, to have his son back or to have this situation go away. And it's just not going to, unfortunately.
So just I'll throw up a comment from Lord of the Pies, and I understand what you're saying. I just wanted to respond to this. He said, without knowing the details, I don't want to sound like Francis is a victim. We don't know what happened. He could have completely been in the wrong. Look, it's an accident. I think
it's an accident, man.
It's obvious that it wasn't like he was trying to attack somebody or something, right? So that's why we call it an accident. So could it have been caused, maybe looking away at the last moment or something, whatever it is, maybe a little inattention, these things happen on a regular basis. I know you're saying in a later comment, he took a young girl's life, of course, but in these situations, when it's through a car accident or something that was completely unintentional, even if you maybe could be said to, and I have no idea what happened, but if you could even be said to be a little bit at fault, maybe you looked away for a second or something distracted you, which may have not even been the case. She could have jumped in the middle of the road. But in any event, he didn't want this to happen.
Even if he was texting, he looked down. I mean, we've all done it before. It's just so tragic, yeah, man, to deal with these tragedies. And dude, hey man, I speed, I freaking text and drive, like we all do it, and I hate how people are, I'm not saying Lord of the Pies is doing this, but I hate how people are like, oh, well, he was texting, it was his fault. It's like, we all kind of text, man, and that could happen to any of us. And if that happened to him, especially after dealing with that trauma last year or a little while ago, like, man, it's just trauma after trauma.
And by the way, he probably wasn't even doing any of that. Hopefully not. But we don't want to put out that insinuation that it very well may. It could have been just, hey, she jumped in the middle. My point is whatever the circumstances, these types of things, when it's a traffic accident, dude, it's gonna, we want to be this could ruin somebody's life or something that could haunt them for the rest of their lives, just knowing how much anguish they cause. So anyway, that's all we're pointing out. Justin knows the guy. As he said, they're not like best friends, but they trained at the same gym. He's beloved, at Extreme Couture. Everybody has very positive things to say about him. It just sucks in general to be going through his tragedy with the son last year and then being a part of this. And yeah, it is horrible for the family, but again, being the cause that I imagine has got to put tremendous guilt and pressure on somebody. It's got to be horrendous. And yeah, I think we'll end on this topic by saying we wish him nothing but the best and hope that he can recover from this, and our thoughts go out to the family as well. Let's move on. We got two last topics here. We're going to come to topic number 5 at the very end. It's about a street beefs fighter. We were texting a little bit about him over the weekend, but I'll get everybody up to speed because this guy is really fascinating me. His name is Death Sense. We'll come to that in a second. But then Belal in news today, he was slamming Ian Garry as being put on the so I even read an article that said, no, he's not allowing Ian Garry to be the backup fighter. I don't think he has a say in that. So I think I don't believe that story was true, but he was basically slamming Ian Garry for trying to be the backup fighter. He's like, why would Ian Garry be the backup fighter? He didn't do that well against Carlos Pratas. It was a close fight. He's like, if anything, it should be, what's his name? The guy from Philly. Oh my God, I'm blanking on his name. Who just beat Leon Edwards? Who is it? Sean Brady. He's like, it should be Sean Brady or another one of these guys. Obviously, we don't know when Shavkat's coming back. But Justin, I wanted to turn it over to you and ask you, we saw that fight. We both were impressed by Ian Garry's performance, and we both recognize that Ian Garry did a solid for the UFC 2 times in a row, 2 short notice fights back to back. One of those being Shavkat. I think it's totally fine that he's the backup fighter for this main event. I'm glad the UFC let him do it. What are your thoughts?
Who didn't want him to be the backup?
Belal.
Of course. Shut up. Sit down. Nobody cares what Belal says. You know what's crazy? It's like this guy gets so much hate and like no respect. He's the UFC champion. And it's like, yeah. I'm not saying, let me hear. I talk shit about Belal. It's fine. I mean, I'm sure he's a great guy. I've never met him. I've never trained with him. I'm sure he's a great guy. And, you know, it's just sometimes you just don't resonate with somebody, man. And he's just that guy. And I think everything he says is just really cringy. I hate hearing him on the mic. I hate hearing him in the broadcast. And again, I'm sure he's a freaking awesome guy. I don't know, man. I just don't like the way his delivery is just, I don't know. I just don't like his delivery. And there's a couple fighters like that, and he just happens to be one of them. So really, I think I'm with everybody else. Nobody really cares what Belal has to say. And Dana White is one of those people too.
I got to admit, he's kind of grown on me, actually.
Really?
I don't know because, well, when I couldn't believe that he would beat Leon Edwards. That's why I was turned off. I was like, the comments, he's sounding so arrogant and cocky. And I'm like, and this is just made up. Leon's going to smoke him. Leon was beating him in the first fight in the first round. So I was like, what is he even? He's talking about boxing and Canelo hands and all this stuff. And I'm like, this is all a figment of his imagination. But then he went in and he dominated. So I was really blown away. And then now that I give more credibility to the things he says, I actually think he's kind of funny. But that's my 2 cents. We'll see what happens with JDM. But yeah, regardless, I disagree with this. What's up, Andrew? I disagree with this take that, Ian Garry shouldn't be up there. I think it's fair, and I think Ian Garry has earned it, especially when people are looking at the Carlos Pratas victory the wrong way. That was a huge risk. He did the UFC a solid, and he came out victorious. So I think he should get his due credit.
I mentioned on the past videos, 4-0, 4 fight of the night bonuses, 4 finishes. Like that's like what? Like that was such a tall task, and Ian Garry answered again. Love him or hate him, man. Carlos Pratas is the man, and he almost finished Ian, and Ian had to. And that's another thing, man. Ian has showed toughness. It's easy to go in there and fucking win, and dominate because your confidence is soaring. But guess what? Ian Garry lost almost maybe 2 rounds in that fight, and the 4th and the 5th. If that goes to a 6th round, he had to dig deep. He was hurt, man. He had to dig deep to pull that win out. Nobody's talking about that. And that's something that I think needs to be talked about, because to show the guts that he showed to be able to persevere through that onslaught against Carlos Pratas, like, dude, that's something special. And the same thing with Shavkat too. 18-0, 18 finishes, doesn't finish Ian Garry. Let's talk about how tough this guy is, how durable this guy is. These guys, Carlos Pratas and what's his name? 18-0. Shavkat had a combined 22. Well, I don't know what Shavkat's record in the UFC. I know he's 18-0, but imagine everybody in the UFC, Shavkat finished. Everybody in the UFC, Carlos Pratas finished, and neither of them could finish Ian Garry. Why isn't anybody talking about that?
That's true. 5, 6, 7. Shavkat 7-0 in the UFC. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And
so we have 11 finishes from these guys combined, and neither one of them 11. And the only guy they haven't finished, both of them, is Ian Garry. Like, this needs to be talked about.
another thing that's interesting too, and even Tehran says something about this. A lot of people were picking Carlos Prates. Most people that I listened to were picking Carlos Prates to beat Ian Garry.
I picked him. I bet like $300 on him.
Yeah, so most people were saying that. Now everybody's forgotten that, and it's, you know, all this stuff. It's just people hate Ian Garry so much, but now I think it's cool that he's a backup fighter. I think it makes sense. All right, now we got to move on to this guy who's taken over the internet. He was interviewed by Tim Welch on Tim Welch's podcast. His episode on Mighty Mouse's channel had like 1.5 million views, and I don't know what episode 2 is doing. This guy is capturing the internet, and I want to highlight him right now. So here, death sentence MMA fighter. Okay, let me show you a picture as we talk about this gentleman. Death sentence.
I know nothing about this guy, by the way.
No worries. We're going to talk about him and chop it up really quickly. Now, so this is the guy right here. One guy. So the video that I made, the title of it says Delusions of Grandeur. Okay. And, oh, did I get the wrong thing? Oh, hold on 1 second. Let me do the other screen share. So the title was Delusions of Grandeur. Now, and if you watch the video, I think some people got a little bit upset with my title that I was clowning the guy. I wasn't. If you watch the whole video, the point of it was about how confident he is as a fighter in himself, and just honestly, like how he's never trained. He's never trained. For somebody who's never trained, you know how we see sometimes guys who are independent fighters and they come in and they just fight, but like they don't really have any technique, but they're fearless. He's like that. Okay. So no disrespect to him. I think it's amazing that he has the balls to get into street beefs and have these fights, but his technique, like literally Justin, he fights like he fights like this, like he almost like hammer fist, like flails his arms. Yeah, it's crazy. It's totally like, but he's not afraid. He runs at people and charges them. And he's fought multiple times in street beefs. Now, the reason why I did the video was when you listen to him talk, he's like, dude, I'll beat these guys. You know, I'll beat them all up. They all suck. I'm going to show everybody I'm the best fighter in the world. And normally we hear UFC fighters talk like this, or, you know, guys who are on the hunt for the championship. Bo Nickal is one of these examples recently, right? Just talking about how good they are. But usually they are somewhat within grasp of that goal. They're hunting it down. They maybe are that good. It has yet to be seen. And this guy, I think, is a very interesting case study of somebody who has maybe even more confidence than any UFC fighter I've ever seen, but he's never trained. So he has really no fighting ability yet. Maybe he will train, and maybe he's training with Mighty Mouse, and maybe he will get good. But anyways, I just wanted to shine the spotlight on him because he had a fight on Street Beefs on Saturday. The video's blowing up, and you'll never believe he got his first victory, which is crazy. And I would show it to you guys now, but when I did the video on Saturday showing the victory, it put an age restriction on it, so I don't want to do that. It said like 18 and up, and that really hurt the views. Anyways, the reason why I want to close out the show with this guy, Justin, is I think people are really falling in love with him and his personality. Like, he actually has got a lot of the essential elements of a fighter that are necessary to blow up. Like, his trash talk is awesome. The way he talks so matter-of-factly about his opponents, about beating them up, and about like the way he rushes into fights, he's got a lot of the right components to be a star. He just doesn't really know how to fight, but he's got the thing that you talk about all the time, that either you have it or you don't. He's got the fearlessness. He's not afraid. Dude, he runs at people. Imagine fighting like that with no technique. So my question to you, okay, if he's really serious, he's only 22 years old. Now, I know he's not probably going to ever make the UFC, but if he's really serious and he's connected with guys like Mighty Mouse, like Tim Welch, he's talking about going down and training with Tim Welch, does he have a future as a regional fighting superstar?
It's a loaded question, man. There's too many variables to answer. I mean, anybody you could start at 44 and be a regional star. We get you infusion, get you win the championship, but you'd have to take it really serious. And you know, here's the thing. Like right now, and I'm not talking trash about the guy. Kudos to the guy getting in there, being fearless and shit. That's one component you have to have of about 1,000. But it's not like right now he's on a high because he was on Mighty Mouse's show. He's on Street Beefs. He just won this fight. I'm gonna be world champion. And then he's gonna run into a bad motherfucker. And if he's not skilled enough and he gets his head knocked off, That's where guys, there's been guys in the gym, and I'm not going to say their names, but guys in the gym that are better fighters than me make it to the UFC, lose their first fight, and say, I never want to do that again, and never go back and never fight again.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, because they're winning. They have all the confidence. Oh, fucking, I'm blowing up. You know, my stock is going up. You know, my personal stock, like his, is going up right now. We're talking about. But now he runs into a real bad motherfucker and cleans his face. He might think this ain't for me. And, you know, Mighty Mouse will be able to tell right away within 1 week. Is this kid training every day? Because I tell you what, it's easy. Like when I was coming to Vegas, I came for the summer, June, July, August, and I go back to Michigan in August. I'd come for 3 months. I would train 3 to 5 hours a day, dedicated as fuck, because I knew my window was only 3 months and I want to get as much training as I can. Now that I'm here and I can train all the time, you can't just be motivated for 1 month or 2 months. You have to train all the time. There's no off season. There's no off season. So really, it's going to come down to his temperament, his personality. Yeah, he might go in there and he might bust his ass for a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. But there's always a wall, and you watch fighters hit it all the time, man. I watched it at the gym all the time. Like, guys like, Coach, I'm doing 3 hours in the morning. I'm doing 3 hours in the evening. I'm like, dude, do 1 hour in the morning and maybe 1 hour in the evening every other day, because you are going to get overloaded and you're going to get burned out. And it happens so often, especially he has this little bit of fame, and now he's going to go really hard. He's going to try to do everything right. But his body, you can't go from being a rusted car in the barn to a high-performance machine in 1 month, because he's going to be training like a high-performance machine. His body's not going to be able to hold it up together. I mean, if he does it right, he can, but there's so many things he's going to have to do right.
That's fair. That's why I want to get your perspective, just to see and just to hear from the professional. But the good thing we can say about him is right now he is connected with good people, with Mighty Mouse, who seems like he's genuinely interested in helping him. Tim Welch, as I mentioned, is also invited him to come down and train with him and Sugar Sean. I bet you that's going to happen. Tim Welch said on his show when he interviewed Death Sentence that he's going to arrange the flights and bring him down there. So I am very curious to see what happens. Now, again, you guys may look at the fights and be like, what are you talking about? This guy has no fighting ability. But again, this is something that can be developed. So I think one thing that people need to recognize is if you look at any fighter, even on their first day, whether it was at 5 years old, 10 years old, with lack of technique, very few people come in just having natural ability and just beautiful footwork and all these other things. There's a lot to think about and consider and contemplate at the beginning. So if he is serious, as Justin says, I think he could progress by leaps and bounds in a pretty short period of time, maybe 1 year, 2 years. And I think this could be very interesting. Anyways, he's got all the other components. I recommend you check him out, and I recommend you give him a chance despite where he is right now in terms of his skill level. Let's see what happens. Death Sentence all the way. And let's go Detroit Lions as well with Justin's background. That's all we got for you guys today. Thank you guys so much. We hope you appreciate the show. If you could give this show a like. Oh, by the way, we got a new, it looks like a new follower here, JS. This generation of Kimbo Slice, I think he's talking about Death Sentence. Let's go. If you guys could give this stream a like, it helps and goes a long way with getting the channel bigger and better than ever. We really appreciate it, and we will see you back on Friday at 1:30 p.m. PST. Thank you guys so much for joining. We'll see you next time. Take it easy.